G'day friends, welcome to the Buddies podcast. Many of the Buddies community are running businesses built on care. And the next business we're about to talk to, Firefly HR and James Clendining, it's very much built on the care for children in after-school care. As he will share in his experiences, he and his wife, Barbi, and it's an interesting story about how they look at both ends of this recruitment business, because it's about how they attract and keep high quality candidates, how they're coaching and making sure those candidates are well trained and well educated, and also how they engage with their clients that are employing these candidates. I think you'll love this story. Let's say g'day to James. Well, g'day, James. Welcome to the Buddies podcast. How did the idea for starting a recruitment business begin for you?
Hey, Pete, thanks for inviting me on. So Firefly HR kind of originated, kind of goes back a fair bit in regards to my wife's background, Barbi. So Barbi actually came from quite a difficult upbringing. Her dad was a heroin addict. Mum was 16 and kind of a little bit mentally disabled. Unfortunately, she was pretty much neglected as a child and kind of went through living with a grandma. So she kind of was leading a life where, she didn't feel worthy until a teacher kind of noticed when she was in year 6, and that teacher took the extra care, paid attention to Barbi, provided her, with lunch, money to go to the canteen, paid for uniforms, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that really inspired her to become a teacher. That one person completely changed the direction of her life. Okay. And so Barbi went on, obviously through high school with that in vision in her mind to be a teacher and to inspire other children. Okay. So she, finished teaching. She went on to work in out-of-school hours care. So she did that for about 10, 12 years. She built a really good network in that sector. She had an exceeding run service. She had a great team. She was well recognized by people in the sector. And we were talking about, I suppose Barbi talked about work all the time. So I actually got to learn the sector quite well myself. I actually came from the stock exchange. I worked at the ASX for 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I got a business background and I was in the tech side of the ASX. So recruitment was definitely something new, but learning, I suppose, business admin, you kind of get a gist of how businesses run, and that kind of helped Barbi kind of, I suppose, pursue this idea of Firefly HR.
So you're in the stock exchange, Barbi's teaching in after school care. You guys what, think about, let's start a recruitment business in that area? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so I suppose OSHC is kind of a sector that, competes with early childhood, but it's kind of not as recognised. It was always seen as glorified babysitting, or, kids just went somewhere after school and no one really knew what happened, but it's actually under the same rules and regulations as early childhood. So, Barbi kind of built a really good network in that sector. She was on the board of a peak body, and for her, it was kind of advocating the sector to bring good people into the sector. She never really had issues building her own team and kind of training within, but we heard a lot of other organizations or centers around not being able to attract good staff. Barbi's like, hey, create a recruitment company. The initial idea was to build an app to facilitate temp recruitment. Basically, it was a transparent app to, I suppose, in early learning and OSHC, casual educators are sometimes considered just a warm body to meat ratio, where we see that as an opportunity of that individual being that person who could inspire a child. Like, you can't underestimate the difference you can make in a child's life. So we wanted to create a platform to get really good people into OSHC and ECE, obviously doing a lot of the background check, child safeguarding. That's a big part, and it's, I suppose, in the current market and the climate, it's been on the news a lot with, issues around that sector, which I won't go into too much. But we wanted to, make sure that all the people on our app would be great for centres. Before we even got the app released, we were asked to do some permanent recruitment. I mean, I'm both working full time still, so we, kind of did a little bit of recruitment here and there for people we knew in the sector. And in the background, we're still developing the app and the vision and what we're trying to do. And then, kind of did the permanent recruitment for about a year and a half, to the point where, it was kind of an opportunity where I could leave my role. So in about 2019, I left the ASX and took on Firefly full time. Barbi was still working full time in her role, as she was, still in the sector and kind of building the Firefly brand as well. But we're also pregnant with our first one.
Yeah.
So, and yes, we took maternity leave. The business was going well. The app was being created. We're doing a fair bit of perm recruitment. And then in 2020, our COVID hit.
Okay.
And that kind of stalled everything. So yeah, from 2020, we had to pivot a little bit. So there was no recruitment as such, as all services were pretty much closed. There was no need for recruitment. And so we kind of focused a little bit more on professional development and training in the sector. And it was an opportunity where we could really, I suppose, promote our brand, and our calling for the sector. So we did that through a lot of professional development online, a lot of free webinars.
You're pivoting the business into more a training and professional development business for your candidates or for the staff that you're recruiting, yeah?
Yeah, so unfortunately, COVID basically disrupted our whole business. We went from making a decent amount of money per month to making $0 for about, I think, 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not the only business that went through that, but we also had a brand new child.
Very stressful, right? You've just quit your job, right? And you quit your job, and obviously COVID. None of us expected that, and none of us knew what it was, how long it was going to last, how it would impact the business. And then you've also got a baby or a new baby number one, right? Arriving.
Yeah,
so it's a pretty stressful time. Yeah,
Not much sleep. I actually had to get back on the tools with my old man. So he's a painter. So just to keep some cash flow in and keep food on the table. So I did that.
Yeah.
But I was still trying to, I suppose, boost the business because we weren't doing too much of the recruitment and there was just no chance of doing business development.
Yeah.
The idea was to basically promote the brand through other avenues. And this is where we kind of pivoted and came up with the idea of just using experts in the sector and like through our platforms, our market, or I suppose our network, and also attract people from their network as well. So we did free monthly think tanks, which would be, with a specialist on, say, like behavior or compliance or play work, just kind of different things. Yeah, and like that was really successful. So we're getting, between 100 to 500 people per session for that, and we kind of just build our database up as well. So once COVID, not the end of COVID, but once we started getting back to normality, we were able to kind of use that database and start targeting the business development side through getting back into the recruitment.
What platform were you using for those webinars, those online webinars?
Yeah, so we actually had a program called Webinar Ninja, which was quite handy. So it had a lot in marketing, had some automated email sequences as well. So once you registered, you'd get an email saying, the event's in a couple of days, and then, hour before or day before you get emails, and then post the event, you'd get sent a recording, and then you could do a bit of marketing after that as well. And that kind of filtered back into MailChimp, which we were using at the time.
Oh, I see. Okay. So using MailChimp for all the mail sequencing and the email marketing, and Webinar Ninja. So it basically it looks after the registrations, and it's like a Zoom like platform, is it? Like, so someone's teaching and there's hundreds of people listening.
That's correct. So you could have like chats on the side as well. So you make it a bit more engaging. So it wasn't just someone talking. You could do polls. It was pretty interactive. It was pretty new technology back then.
Yeah.
There's a lot better platforms now, and like Zoom's really led the way. Microsoft Teams we use at the moment until we I think we can get up to about 1,000 people per webinar before we have to try something else.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still running webinars now?
Yeah, we're still doing it now. So once we kind of built that traction, we started doing a little bit more of the paid professional development. So we had someone in-house. They do a lot of consulting and training, but then we kind of do webinars like once a week or about 8 a term. Yeah, so that's kind of picked up a fair bit recently. It kind of died a little bit last year. I think everyone was sick of webinars. And then also I felt, the economy's kind of dropped a little bit, so people aren't spending as much on professional development as they were, but it's picked up a little bit. So the most recent one, I think we had about 87 people registered.
Okay.
So it went really well.
And all these people that are registering, they're all teachers and carers in after school care, and they're looking at their own professional development. Now, is all of this paid content, or are you giving some of it away?
So most of it's paid. We
Okay.
still do 1 or 2 think tanks a term that are free.
Okay.
And they're probably the biggest ones, obviously. I think our last free one, we got almost 1,000 registered.
Okay.
So a lot of it, like for us, it's not only giving free content to the sector, because a lot of providers won't pay for professional development.
Mm.
Community-based non-for-profit providers. You've also got, rural providers that just don't have much money. So like we're still giving stuff to them, but like in turn, it also helps build up our database, and that helps with the marketing.
Okay. And what you mentioned earlier, James, about developing the app. One of the first things that you were doing. How did you get that app developed? Did you go offshore to find a developer and you give them the specs? Is that how that worked?
Yeah, so we didn't want to go straight overseas with a developer. We started off meeting some companies in Australia.
Mm.
We met up with a company called Hyper, and they developed the concept of the app.
Mm.
So we had pretty much a product that was ready to be developed, and which took probably about, I think, 6 to 8 months to go through the building the concept. And then from there it went out to contractors. We got given 3 quotes, and kind of almost fell off my chair.
I'm curious, how much is it costing an app developed?
So we actually haven't even got our app out yet. Funny, a long story, but I can get into that in a little bit more detail. So originally it was about 10 grand to kind of build the idea, and then another 30 grand to get all the specs.
Wow.
And then from there we got quoted about 100,000 from 3 different organizations overseas to build the app out.
Wow. That's what, 100 though?
Yeah. So the platform's pretty complex. It's kind of, it's a marketplace connecting early learning and OSHC centers with educators.
Okay.
So we started building that out with another company that was based in Australia who had offshore developers.
Yeah.
We got pretty close to going live with it, but we've had a couple of internal issues. We lost a big contract. We used to do all the recruitment for one organization, and so it's almost a $600,000 to $800,000 contract. Unfortunately, they decided to take their recruitment internally, so that kind of put a bit of a handbrake on things. We do have an investor they're a software company that focuses on software within the early learning OSHC space. And the idea is to finish the app with them and hopefully embed it into their platform as well. So they've already got a large market. We've got a pretty large market. So that's the plan. Eventually get that out and continue the recruitment, the BD and the app.
Okay. So you're a very specialized recruitment business, and it sounds like you and Barbi like really care for the well-being of these children that are being cared for, which parents like me, my kids are out of daycare now and after school care. It's great that there's people like you that care that much about the well-being of the kids, because parents are putting a lot of trust in those after school care and daycare centers, aren't they? A very high level of care, because you're giving the care of your children to somebody for could be a whole day, many hours after school. It's a lot of responsibility, isn't it, as a carer?
Oh, 100%. I definitely couldn't do it myself.
I couldn't do it.
2 little kids.
Not that many, because you walk into those, I've gone to after school care and before school care, and I've seen what it's like. It's like bedlam. Noisy, they're sick, they catch things from each other. They're
Mm.
a lot of them, a lot of moving parts, and those carers do an exceptional job. The good ones, they're obviously very professional, but they also actually do care about the children.
Yeah, they do. There's so many great people we've met over the last 8 years doing this, and Barbie more so, that do have that passion and care for the children.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose with the media, there's a lot of stories that we hear, unfortunately, a lot of negative stories as well. But overall, the sector is doing well, and there's a lot of great people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like every job, there's bad people. Anywhere there's the occasional bad people, and they just take the opportunity to do things.
Yeah. And that gets more publicity, right? There's one bad care or evil. I'll use the word evil like that. But there's an overwhelmingly. But it sounds like what you're doing though is through that education or through this vetting, you're minimising that risk, which I guess is what parents would be most concerned about, right?
Yeah, we've always been focused on child safeguarding, especially from Barbie's background. She
Yeah.
also, I suppose, resonates with children. I suppose the biggest issue that we see is, if you have parents that, like they're going to care about, what type of care they get within schools.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents out there that unfortunately don't care. And it's being that voice for that child. You might see a bit of complacency in well-off suburbs or in centres where, they think all families are great, blah, blah, blah. But, there's that one child that's a little bit quiet or a little bit upset and fighting their own battles. And it's knowing what to look for and caring for that child and being, that shining light for them to, give them the platform to be the best they can be. Like, school's not always easy. We've all, gone through some tough times at school and others go through a lot tougher. So yeah, it's not just the day-to-day child safeguarding, it's what goes beyond or outside of school, and they bring that back into early childhood or early learning or OSH, and it's giving them that safe space to and trust to be themselves and say, there's something going on at home that, I need help with, or so. Yeah.
It's very great to see there's organisations like yours focusing that much. I guess that's when you talk about a purpose. Most of the great businesses that I talk to, there's a very strong purpose there, and it sounds like the purpose that you and Barbie have got is just great care for these kids, provide them with the best care they can get.
100%.
Yeah, so that's a great purpose to have, right? Yeah. So you started with the app idea, you then pivoted into the webinar as ways to sort of build a list of people, build a list of potential candidates and vet them and make sure that they're up to the standards that you would recommend to a centre. I guess that's on the supply side, if I think of it that way. I'm thinking on the demand side, you've got centres that are hiring these people. So what do you do on the demand side in terms of those clients, if you like? How do you build that part of the business?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose we're kind of positioned ourselves as experts in the market.
Okay.
Having Barbie's expertise, like we've really driven that as the main focus for our marketing. So, during COVID, as well as doing the business, the professional development, we started a podcast.
Okay.
So Barbie was doing a podcast with a behavioral specialist, similar to what you do, you bring on guests, and that kind of shows your expertise within the market.
Okay.
She also just genuinely has that care for the sector, so that resonates with a lot of academics and good people in the market. And a lot of people go, "Oh, you guys are doing so much, you're huge," and it's like, well, not really. It's just Barbie, myself, and at the moment Steve. So we're actually quite a small team, but online we look a lot bigger than what we are. We might be working too hard sometimes. Don't think we've had a break in about 7 years.
Yeah. So do you reach out to the centres? I guess I call them clients, if you like. Do you reach out to them directly, or are you running education or webinars for them too, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we reach out directly. A lot of it was just the traffic kind of came to us through our reputation.
Okay.
More so in the last couple of years, there's a lot more competitors on the scene. Definitely a lot more recruiters. There's also a lot of people doing the consulting and training. So the market's become a little bit flooded and we do have to be a bit more proactive. So yeah, a lot more reaching out, just trying to organize meeting clients in person, a lot of reaching out on LinkedIn, emails, phone calls.
Okay.
I suppose the nitty gritty part of recruitment and the part of where, people may feel like recruiters are annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they can be. Well, when it's done badly, it's annoying. But I think when it's done well, it's a great service to both the carer and the centre. It's you're a market maker, right? You're making that market.
Yeah, and as a recruiter, I suppose you're widening the net. So when you advertise a job, you're only seeing, I suppose you're only getting candidates that see that role. Whereas you go to a recruiter, you obviously get people who are looking for work, but you're also getting, 8 years of our network that we've built up that, may not be looking, but could be interested in that role. Some of the placements we've done, and we do the business development call, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for this." Straight away, I know someone.
Mm-mm-mm.
Usually
Yeah.
we still do the whole process to make sure that we can present a couple of candidates, but in the end, it's that one person that I already had in the back of my mind.
Yeah. So I guess too, if you're doing that outreach, sometimes the centres wouldn't always be ready to buy, but establish a relationship, maintain the relationship. So when they require new staff, they're reaching out to you. You become like
Yeah.
the preferred place to reach out to.
Yeah, 100%. That's the goal.
How do you go about maintaining that relationship with them? It sounds like you're doing a lot of work with the actual candidates. What do you do about maintaining that centre relationship?
So it depends on the client. So we
Okay.
do a lot with parent committee run OSHC services and
Okay.
community-based early learning services. So with them, you're actually dealing with volunteer parent committees.
Okay.
So a lot of it's just providing that ongoing support. I suppose where we differ from the rest of the market is, we can place a candidate, but from there we can actually provide that ongoing support. So to ensure compliance or quality practices. If the candidate has any issues that they're not sure of, they can reach out to us. So, they're not doing it alone.
Okay.
For other services, it's just keeping in touch, just keeping that relationship. A lot might just be, I'm going for a quick walk. I'll just give one of the clients a call and just say, "Hey, I'm just checking to see how you're doing. I've got someone coming over for lunch in about an hour." So it's just keeping those relationships going. Obviously, it gets harder once you build more clients. Yeah, a lot of it. I heard one thing. I can't remember if it was a podcast or something I read, but they said if you think of someone, message them or contact them as soon as you think of them, because they get taken away by it. They'll be like, "Oh, they're thinking of me."
Yeah. Just a touch base.
Yeah.
Just a touch base piece where you think, I was just thinking about you, and there's no other. I'm not selling anything to you. I was just thinking about you, James. Just thought I'd touch base and see how you're going, and that there's no intent in that apart from maintaining the relationship. Particularly calls. I find now people are calling less and less and sending like more text messages and more emails. I think it's nowhere near as personal as a phone call, is it?
Nowhere near. And we actually did some training around this with Dr. Mark Williams, who'd be great for a podcast.
Okay.
So he's a professor of cognitive neuroscience, and he wrote a book on humans being like they're a social species.
Yeah.
So you need touch, you need interaction, you need to see people in person to, mirror, and that builds connection. Doing it through, Zoom, messages, WhatsApp, it's just not the same. So if you can get face to face, do it. Obviously it's hard, but yeah.
But phone calls less invasive too, I find, because you haven't got to have the Zoom time, all that sort of stuff, or you can be anywhere. I mean, one of the favorite ways I love making calls is I drive. I have like long drives most days of by long, I mean maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And I spend the entire time both ways on the phone. I just get the phone and I just find when I'm driving, I love talking to people. And I think that's an hour. I could talk to like 5 or 6 people on that time.
Yeah.
And that's like 5 or 6 people on the way back. There's 10 people I've reached out to just to say good day and what's going on.
Yeah. I feel like when you're driving, you're kind of more casual on the phone. Because you kind of focus on driving, but you just more genuine in the conversation. It's like, hey, you're not trying to sell anything. It's just, just casual conversation.
It sounds like you and Barbi have pivoted several times, which is fantastic. The business is obviously doing exceptionally well. It's a market leader in your space. I'm wondering, like, whether there's like one piece of advice or one tip or one suggestion you'd give people. Like, because in the buddies community, it's all small business owners of various sizes, all facing similar sorts of struggles. That's what I find. They're selling different services and products, but they're all basically have the same sort of struggles. What advice would you give folks?
I'll give a few pointers.
Yeah.
I suppose the biggest one, and this is something that Barbi and I definitely didn't do, is focusing on yourself first.
Okay.
So we've gone through a lot in this journey. You know, you have the stress of the money worries, you have the dark times, you have the cash flow issues, you have team issues, and we always put the business before ourselves.
Okay.
So big focus would be your own mental health.
Okay. Yep.
And then from that, you know, I had a couple of mentors, like we've had coaches, but I would probably listen to too many different people and like, obviously there's a lot of great advice, but it was too much noise.
Yeah.
So it's actually trusting yourself and listening to one person that you resonate with.
Yeah.
And really, if you're doing it and you believe in yourself, you believe in the product, you believe your service, you believe in the quality, you just sometimes have to trust yourself and go with it.
Trust your gut feel. Yeah, because you think like you and Barbi, you're immersed in this and you think, well, who could make a better decision in my business than me? Because no one knows it as well as I do. I mean, if you're working for like a stock exchange, you could say, well, people at other stock exchanges could probably help me make that decision. But in your case, no one knows your business and your clients better than you do. So who could give you a better decision than you?
Yeah. And 100%. And you know the mistakes. Like if you critically reflect on, you know, your time running a business, you'll go, oh, you know, that was a dumb decision. I shouldn't have done that. You know what you've done wrong. You know what you've done right. And it's just preventing more silly mistakes moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, James, I really congratulate you and Barbi on the success of Firefly HR. If there's anyone wants to follow you guys up, we're going to have all of your contact details in the show notes. But for the time being, I just wanted to thank you for being a guest today on the Buddies podcast.
That was my pleasure. Thanks for the chat, Peter, and inviting me on the show.
I loved that conversation with James. I hope you did too. I particularly liked how self-effacing and genuine he is. And I'm thinking, if I'm a carer in after-school care, I would like him to be looking after me. And if I was a centre owner, I would love somebody like him finding me great candidates. And also, if I was a parent, which I am, but my kids are a bit too old for that sort of service, I'd love to know that there's people like Barbi and James running a business that is caring so much for my children. If you're interested in learning more about what's happening in the Buddies community, check out buddies.com. If you're not a member of the Buddies community yet and you want to get more great workshops and great podcast content, join the community at buddies.com. Until then, I'll see you guys next time on the Buddies podcast.